This is a battle between a chess coach and a weak player. And while you watch them, I'll explain exactly why he makes each move. This guy is good at chess. So I hope your attention span is good enough to watch this game review. The noob opens with the king's pawn and the coach responds with the Caro-Kann, preparing a counter-attack on the center. White develops a knight and black pushes. These are very standard moves, we all know them. Now white advances the pawn. And the coach develops a bishop. It's important to get this boy out before you push the e-pawn and lock him up forever. He will not get out, ever. So after the bishop move, white puts another pawn into the center. Very respectable move, you want to claim as much power over the center as possible. e6, strengthening the pawn structure. White develops a knight and now the Caro-Kann truly begins. Send this peasant to the front line. Yes, he can be captured. But we do not care about him and his family. The c-pawn in the Caro-Kann was literally born to be sacrificed. If he takes your pawn, you can recapture it with the bishop. He lost the strong position in the center and you develop your bishop for free. But white knows this and makes a different move. Bishop g5. And here the coach says that it's a slight mistake, a simple one-mover. He puts the bishop here, attacking the queen at the same time. Looks like a great move at first. But now the coach moves the queen here, attacking this pawn and putting more pressure on this center pawn because it's double attacked. To protect the center pawn, white moves the bishop again. That's why the move was a bit of a waste. Double moves aren't good. The queen got free development. The coach wasn't sure whether he can take this pawn or not, because oftentimes you'll get some sort of counter-attack when bringing out the queen too far so early. He decided to go for a safer move, developing the knight. And white pushes the pawn to protect the weak pawn. h6. This is a waiting move. He just wanted to see if the white player would take this pawn, now that he is given the option to do so. Will he take? That would be great. You can capture it with the bishop, they take your bishop and you take it back with the queen. Now you're in a really good position. Also, this pawn is really weak now. You'll often capture it later in the game. But sadly this guy watched my Caro-Kann guide and knows how to handle the situation. He doesn't take the pawn and instead develops the bishop. Very nice, he's clearing the back rank and preparing a castle. Right? Right? I always tell you guys to castle. I've told millions of people to castle. I have insane castle karma in the universe. We'll see. The coach moves the bishop, applying more pressure to the knight. The knight is a defender of the center pawn, so attacking the knight is an indirect attack on the center. And now it's white's turn. This guy is a viewer. He watches my videos. If you watched any of my videos, you have probably heard that you should castle. So guess what he is doing, now that he can do any move? Yes. You're absolutely right. He pushes a4. See, this is why your father doesn't love you. Anyway. In this position black decides to take the knight. White takes back. And now black takes the center pawn. White takes back, also attacking the queen. Now, unlike most of you, the coach knows how to play chess. Instead of running away with the queen, he moves the bishop in the way. This allowed him to develop a piece, instead of wasting a move running around with the queen. White plays a5 and the coach does something interesting. Intentionally trapping the queen. Why? If white goes here, the queen is trapped. You can pause and look for all the moves, it cannot escape. But his plan was different. Take this bishop. White will take the queen. And now the bishop takes the knight, also attacking the king and the rook at the same time. Now white has to move the king and the coach can capture the rook. And the result, black is up 2 points in material. Fantastic plan. However, white did not fall for this trick. I am so glad that he didn't. Surely his real move was a lot better. There's no way he loses 2 material points. Right? Wrong. He attempts to trade bishops. So he takes. And he probably thinks the coach will take back. When in reality, the bishop was defending the knight. And now that the knight isn't defended anymore, black simply takes it. At the same time giving check and attacking the bishop. Now white is forced to move the king. And black can take the bishop. White just lost an entire 3 points worth of material for nothing. 2 things went wrong. First of all, did you notice that everything we talked about in the last 2 minutes could have been avoided if he simply castled earlier? All this nonsense only happened because the king was not protected. Secondly, this was obviously a straight-up blunder. Tactical mistakes are the reason for more than 90% of all losses in chess. In ChessPage University we have an entire course dedicated to reducing blunders. By the way, one of the methods to reduce blunders is to build an anti-blunder position. And one of the ways to do that is to simply castle. There's a reason why I obsess over helping the ChessPage University students reduce blunders. Most people learn openings and chess theory, solve high-level puzzles with complicated tactics, but don't really climb because they blunder a whole piece for nothing. To summarize, you're a disappointment to your family. But there are other valuable lessons coming up, so let's look at the next moves. White moves the rook here, planning to hide the king later. Remember how I told you that you'll often capture this weak pawn later? White finally hides the king. The coach is up in material. When you're up in material, it's a good idea to trade pieces. Look. If you have pieces worth 23 material points combined, and your opponent has 20, you only have 15% more material. But if you trade 10 material points, you now have 13 and he has 10. You're up 30%. Trade another 7 material points and you have twice as much material as your opponent. Being aware of that, he trades his knight for a bishop. And immediately there's another lesson. This pawn is not defended and it looks like it's free. And according to the engine, it actually is free. But the coach decided to not take it. Why? He looked at it this way. If he captures the pawn, white can move the rook here. Now the queen has to run away, and the rook can go here. And this simply looks dangerous. The engine says if you play this perfectly, it's actually not dangerous. But the coach decided to not take the pawn simply because it looked dangerous. So to manage his time better, he decided to not even calculate this option. He doesn't need this pawn or any risk, he's already up in material. So instead he develops his knight, preparing the castle. This option is much safer, saves a lot of time and comes with zero risk. This game is packed with valuable lessons. I love it. By the way, subscribe if you want to see more videos. White moves the rook. Now black castles. Yes, he castled quite late, but that's because white made a lot of mistakes that the coach had to exploit first. You should castle way earlier. But what is this? A counterattack? White is coming for the king. Is the game just getting started? The coach ignores the attack, taking the pawn, because he thinks the king is safe in the castle. And white pushes another pawn, combined with the queen as backup. And the coach still ignores the attack. And there we go. It's all about to escalate. The knight is under attack and the castle is about to be broken up. Black has to make a move. He finally acknowledges the attack, moving the knight out of danger, but it's too late. White breaks up the castle. Oh no! Is this the end for our coach? No, of course not. Knight d2. A fork. The king has to move and the queen disappears like your father. See, this is what happens to people who don't join ChessPage University. They lose pieces for nothing and get abandoned by their father. Everybody in ChessPage University is winning and has a healthy relationship to their daddy. Now at this point the engine score is almost 100 in the favor of black. If you can't win this on your own, there's no hope for you. Here's a quick summary. Explaining the rest of the moves would be a waste of time, you should watch this video instead. And if you want to dominate every game, check out ChessPage University in the video description.